Okay, hey everybody, to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today I have a really cool review for you from the brand Hawkrigger. A little bit about them. They are a UK-based brand, and they started out making Marine Corps rigger-style belts and eventually expanded into making watch straps. This isn't the first time I've actually reviewed this brand. I reviewed a couple of older iterations of their straps, and I was supremely impressed. In terms of product highlights, the Hawkrigger name is drawn from U.S. Marine Corps parachute riggers who are credited with the evolution of the riggers belt. Riggers in the military are famous for scavenging parts from standard issue kit to innovate new gear designs. They say that necessity is the mother of all innovation, and at Hawkrigger they are firm believers in that inspiration plus creativity and persistence leads to innovation. So very motivating, and of course I'm always big on supporting any type of anything that is related to prior service and military. I spent almost 10 years of my life in the United States Marine Corps. I wasn't a parachute guy or anything like that. I was actually a Stinger gunner, so Stinger missiles, low altitude air defense. But I was big on having nice kit, right? Good gear. And it's fun now as a more serious watch enthusiast going back and kind of what would I have worn if I was still active duty and I was still really into watches, right? At the time, it was just mostly like G-Shocks and if not, just really beat up types of Timexes that you could just destroy and then just buy a new one. So that's this type of stuff I wore. But of course, now as a big watch enthusiast in the post however many years I've been out now, probably more years out now than I was in. And that I just look back very fondly, and it's fun to check out these types of straps, just the textiles, the colors, just the way things feel. It really, the Hawkrigger, they're so authentic in terms of the things that they choose, and it's a really cool brand. So I'm happy to feature them again here. Sorry for the long intro. So with that said, let's go ahead, zoom the camera out, get these pieces in hand, and take a closer look. Another big shout out to Stuart. Thanks for sending these in for me to share with my viewers. These are really, really cool, and they're two different ones, but the main kind of thing that put them together is that they do have these multicam tabs on there, which is really cool. And then you'll see some things that might look a bit familiar to you in terms of this kind of Marine National style band there, and then on this side more of kind of maybe the Zulu type of nylon. You can see two-piece versus a one-piece, so you do have different styles and setups. And then the two watches I have here of course are going to be one from Squall and then the other from Winfield. So both variations in terms of military divers, and I think these go great on divers. And of course, if I was still active duty, I would probably spend a lot of time in divers, and maybe there's a couple of dedicated field watches, but for me, I gotta have a bit of water resistance as well. So we'll start with this one right here. This is the Huey Riggerband two-piece, and essentially these do follow the aesthetic of the Marine National dive belts and buckles, but it definitely goes a bit further to incorporate the influence of iconic lines like the Bell UH-1 Iroquois, nicknamed the Huey, which is essentially a utility military helicopter in terms of the frame, and that shape there is kind of where it gets the name, and this cool buckle in terms of the way that it comes together here, guys, which some of you are going to really like, and some of you are going to just think this is all way overly complicated. Me personally, I really, really dig that, and it really does help this feel very complete, and again, quite tactical and capable. So it's not just the look of something tactical, it feels military grade. And you can see it's really nicely signed, and it is of course all in a working finish in terms of the patina around here. So really, really handsome. You can get this for $55.35 direct from the brand, and it comes in various options. You can get it in 20 millimeters, 22, 24, or 26 millimeter widths. And the cool thing is that because the way it's set up as a two-piece, really they just make these tabs different sizes, and you're going to have a similar size here, so you don't have to have necessarily a super fat strap to put it on a larger watch. Let's say if you have a Panerai, you wanted to throw this on and it had some really wide lugs, you know, at let's say a 24 or 26 millimeter. So I think that's really cool. And then these can actually be custom sized because they are a two-piece, whereas the one piece is more one size fits all and within a range. This can be sized from a 6 and 6.75 up to 9-inch wrists in quarter-inch increments, and I have a 7.5-inch wrist, so that is which size this is for me. And then it, of course, the matte tumbled hardware. It's very nice, and again, it's going to age really, really well. And in terms of the color combinations, you can get it here as seen in that FDE with the white stripe down the center, or the more traditional Marine National style with the green and then the yellow stripe. But I think this looks just fantastic. And you can see, you know, just to kind of show you guys, essentially you're just going to put the spring bars, and this is a two-piece, so you just set the spring bars in there, and then this essentially is just gonna, you know, be the closed loop system there where it will you know, buckle in. But we'll get to that, you know, probably maybe do that as one segment, put those together. And the cool thing is, yeah, these can lay really fun, and you know, you can just lay them out and they look really nice. You know, if you guys are big into EDC and stuff like that on Instagram, you know, it's nice to kind of just lay out gear and have it really showcased. Now here, this one is definitely a bit more complex. Lucky for you guys, they do have videos on their channel that actually do show exactly how to kind of weave this through and everything like that. But once you have it set, I will say it is quite easy. Now, this is known as the Airborne O-Rig, and this is in the Coyote Multicam. So really nice Coyote brown here, really beautiful. And then of course it does have that slight kind of dotted line there. And essentially this is an Airborne strap. And then, of course, it does have that kind of simple clinch down one pass style. So, of course, if there are any types of spring bar failures, then you still have a closed loop system. So that, you know, whereas here, if a spring bar fails, you know, the watch essentially could fall off of your wrist, whereas here it shouldn't, because essentially you still have a closed loop. Even if a spring bar breaks, you'll have your other spring bar holding it on. Now, this repurposes the standard kind of Zulu O-ring style, and it essentially kind of synergizes it with their own bespoke buckle frame to create something that's, you know, really unique. And you can see here, very cool. Everything just fits together. I'll kind of unweave it here so you guys can see how this would go. Essentially, very intuitive, right? In terms of loosening and tightening, but that's essentially what you would have. And once you have it all set up like this, then you'd be able to just kind of put your wrist through and tighten it down, cinch it down, and then depending on how much slack you have, you might use either this little band here, or you can tuck through here. And if you had fixed spring bars, the nice thing is you could still use this model. You would essentially just unweave everything, which you could do essentially if we, you know, go like that, right? And then we can unweave all this too and take all that out. So if you do have a fixed spring bar model, it'll still work for you. So let's say you got one of those sweet new Pelagos FXDs with the kind of fixed, well, those are more than a fixed spring bar that's built into the frame. Essentially, you could run one of these through there, of course. And then in terms of some of the options, this does have this great webbing that is definitely a nod to the parachute webbing. It's very instantly recognizable, and then of course it still has also that line there, which looks great. And again, this just feels quite authentic in terms of the feel, the materials that they use, and again, then with just a lot more ingenuity in terms of the enclosure, the way it's secured, a lot of course, the overbuilt pieces. And you buy this an overbuilt dive watch, it's nice to also have something that feels equally overbuilt, even though it's a fabric strap. You can get this one. It's a little bit more limited in terms of the sizing. It's because it is a one size fits all, because it's a single line, and then of course you just kind of adjust it because this can all slide down. And it's essentially should fit anywhere between 6 inches and 8 inches in terms of the width. And then in terms of the lug width, you can get 20 millimeter or 22 millimeter. And then of course it all is matte tumbled and also signed and everything nice and clean. And then this is actually, at least at the time of filming this, I believe the only colorway combination. But with that said, let's actually, normally I would cut away to kind of get these on the wrist, but hey, we're demoing straps, so we'll go ahead and put it on the wrist here. So essentially what you're going to do is, sorry, it's a little sweaty in here. It's a very hot summer night as I'm filming this, and you can see very cool in terms of the way everything cinches down. It's very intuitive. It's not like you're gonna have to look too much. I mean, of course, in terms of weaving everything through, you might want to watch the video or whatever, because the way that it's going to arrive to you is obviously isn't going to have a watch on it. But you can go ahead and you can see there's about a finger's worth of space. Still tighten it a little bit more, and essentially there. Then we'll put that. We'll run it through here. And because I do have a slightly larger wrist, I kind of have two options. I can either fold this back down underneath, and it'll stay pretty well. But if you don't want to have that little bit, because, larger wrist, right? You can actually take this out, and because it does come with this little kind of rubber sleeve here that's been cut, what I find is pretty easy is to just now take this and then feed it through there, and it just will hold it in place really nicely. Quite seamless as well, which I think is pretty cool. So again, that's kind of the fun thing about this, especially even if you guys have military experience. You guys know there's so many different ways to kind of pack your gear in terms of what you're comfortable with. But I think that looks fantastic, guys. Of course, if you have a smaller wrist, you can loop everything through in a bit of a more traditional route. But I think that looks just great. And then what we'll do is we'll throw this one on the other wrist. This is going to be a bit easier. So we just get that through, and then essentially now, and the cool thing is you do have a couple pull tabs here, which are great in terms of securing these buckles and kind of manipulating them when you're in a pinch, so you're not worried about the buckles slamming back anywhere, hitting your watch. So now, of course, I'm having to reach behind. Now pull a little bit of extra slack. Line this up here, boom, there you go. Pull it nice and tight, cinch it, which is great, right? Pull tab there, everything aligns, everything just kind of falls into place. Check that out. Beautiful. Very, very nice. I love the way these fit. Let's go ahead and kind of zoom the camera in a bit. Pardon a bit of the sweat if my arm is glistening more than normal. Again, pretty warm night here in Southern California. Really handsome. Check out the other side. Which one do you guys prefer? I have to say I'm a big fan of both. I do like the ingenuity involved in terms of this kind of combining the Marine National type of webbing there, where you do get a little bit more give. And I also do like the fact, some of you might be turned off a bit by the fact that this is a 2-piece. They do have 1-piece variations, but the beauty of the 2-piece style, I really do like that kind of multi-cam tab that they added aesthetically. It's really, really great. Sure, yeah, you know, you might have to worry about if this fails, but you know, bracelets and all that stuff, they're all relying on spring bars anyway, so I think you'll be okay in most cases, guys. I haven't had pretty much a spring bar failure, and I think the only time it did happen was on a NATO style strap, and probably because with interchangeability, you can be sloppy sometimes, and you kind of fall back on the fact that you do have a little extra protection. So if you treat it right, like all good kit, it'll treat you right, and it'll be there for you. But I do really enjoy the setup on the buckle, how comfortable everything is, and of course, ultimately how adjustable everything is. I can slide this down a little bit further if I do want to make things a little bit looser, or I can pull it up, make things tighter on kind of a colder morning or evening there. And then of course here, a little bit more kind of one size fits all. But I will say I do love the visual weight distribution here. You get the buckle here, kind of aligns, buckle here kind of aligns, right? It just gives you a really fun look. And again, it really is quite a genuine aesthetic there, right? It doesn't feel like it's trying to I guess I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. It's not trying to copy the look, right? It's not trying to recreate it. It's really just using a similar design eye to gear and the way that it's secured. And it all kind of fits within that wheelhouse, which I can absolutely appreciate. So guys, closing thoughts, these are really finely done, nicely overbuilt while not being terribly over complex. And some of you guys might still think that they're a bit over complex. I don't mind it. I mean, it just has that, for me, the perfect practical and tactical aesthetic. So yeah, it's cool. It's a more interesting evolution on a very nice proven formula, whether it be a traditional NATO style or Zulu style strap kind of evolution, or an evolution on that Marine National style. So very, very cool. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you like the video, please do like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.